Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? It is NFL Week 10 time. It is Thursday, if you can see. 3:30 in the morning. We are refreshing Potawatomi's thing. Odds courtesy of them. Shout out them. First order of business. How did Week 9 go for us? On the screen, you will see we went in picking spreads 10-5. Which is pretty good. I think that's probably our best week or tied for it. And then our bets, we went 2-1, which 2-1 obviously means we made money. We're not going to complain. But now on the screen, you will see the bet slip of the bets that I commented. So Kamara and Bijan, we had both of them to run rushing yards over 74.5. Kamara wasn't even a sweat. I think he ended up with around 120, 130. He hit this number in the first half. And Bijan, he got there pretty comfortably, but it took him to the third quarter. I guess hindsight, maybe I do a ladder bet with Kamara and I would have gotten more money, but we wanted to simplify it and just, because when I ladder bet, sometimes I do it like with 3 numbers, sometimes I do it with 5. It's just complicated, so no complaints, they both hit. We're not going to complain about hitting a bet. The one that you're going to see that we missed was our Eagles -6. They were like -7, -7.5, depending on what book you were looking at and when. I always like to hedge, a point or two. And like I said, I'm not that upset. I got no beef with the Eagles, and I went 2-1. How I look at every week is if I made or lost money. We made money, so I'm happy. But upon further review, holy fucking shit, this was like an absolute fucking, I don't know what the word is, blunder, bailout, dog shit. They were up 22-0. If you would have told me that they were up 22-0, I would have assumed -6 was really easy to cover. What happened was this is going to be a huge debrief, so if you want to get to the spread, skip a minute or something. They were up 16-0 and decided to go for 2, which makes no fucking sense. If you take the field goal, you're at 17. It's a 3-possession game, because at 16, that's 2 touchdowns, 2 points, but they have to score again. So it makes no sense to go for 2, because 18 doesn't make it any fucking different for them. So that is like an atrocious, what the fuck are you doing, makes no sense thing. Then they went for it again when they were up 22-0, which I guess, hey, you want to get to 24 and make it 4 possessions, which wouldn't even be 4 possessions, because they could do 8 and get to 24. It's just they would obviously have to hit every single thing. Then I get it because you missed the first one, but honestly 23 is a key number, because that means they have to be going for 2 and having to get at least 3 touchdowns and a field goal to beat you. And that's just to fucking beat you. And then at the end of the game, they went for it again because, they missed so many. So, long story short, all I'm saying is, I'm not an Eagles fan, but as an Eagles fan, I would be fucking nervous. Long story short, I've been talking about how the Eagles finally look like a juggernaut. They beat the Bengals by 20. They beat the Giants by 25. And then they almost lose to the Jaguars, which are like a bottom 5 team in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence on a first down threw an interception. If Trevor Lawrence scores a touchdown on the Jaguars win that game, Nick Sirianni might be in the hot seat. All I'm saying is, 1, he's a douche. The way he handles himself is ungraceful for an NFL head coach, 1. 2, if I'm an Eagles fan, I just look and I don't think any NFL coach leaves more points on the board or has shittier game management. When I look at the other people I'm competing with, like the juggernauts, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Lions, Dan Campbell, Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, I'm a lot more confident all of their game management. I know some people are going to bring up Dan Campbell, 49ers collapse in the playoffs. I hear that, but throughout most of the regular season, his game management was fine and working. It's a double-edged sword. If you're going to, hold them accountable and say what a dumbass when it fucks up, you better be praising him and saying, oh my God, look at the sack on this guy when it works. And people didn't do that. Even with that, I still would trust Dan Campbell a lot more than Sirianni. So, ramble over. The reason I care is if they just take 1 extra point, I at least don't lose my money. I get a push. But I'm just saying, I'm kind of rooting for the Eagles. I have a friend who's an Eagles fan, and as a kid, when I would bandwagon, I fucked with him. But we move on. Now on the screen, you will see our new overall record. So our spread record on the year, 70, 64, and 3. Above 500, trying to make it more steep. And then our bets are down to 13 and 9. So decent for the bets. We want to bring them both up much more. and we'll get into that. So now, after 5 minutes of rambling, let's get into the spreads for this week. We'll refresh it one more time so you know it's clean, and we'll get into it. I remember I looked at it the other day, and I honestly didn't feel great about any, but they've already moved a lot. So first one, Bengals Ravens today, Thursday night. I have a lot of emotion on this game. In my main league, I have Derrick Henry and Jamar Chase and Mark Andrews, and then I play in another league against Derrick Henry, and I have Lamar. It's just a ton. Honestly, I feel usually the Bengals and Ravens get into some dog fights, like the Bengals kind of elevate. Last time they played, Joe Burrow got hurt. It's tough to say. The Ravens did make Tre'Davious White, which I think is a big acquisition for them defensively, but they didn't get a pass rusher, which I think they need. And the Bengals, they got Khalil Herbert, but I really think that's just a depth piece with Zach Moss going to IR. We're going to back the Ravens -6, even though their pass defense is really bad, which is what the Bengals are good at. The Bengals, they did look good last week, 5 touchdowns, but that was against the Raiders. T. Higgins, I don't think, is playing again. I expect a pretty big game from Mike Gesicki as Eric All's hurt and T. Higgins is out now. So -6, avoiding the bet, though. I'm just going with it because at least the Ravens stopped the ground game. Giants, Panthers. The Panthers got their first dub. Super happy for Bryce Young. I am going to go with the Giants, though, which is crazy because they haven't looked great the last couple of weeks. But Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy, they're getting it right. And the Giants actually have Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence on the D-line, which I think will get enough pressure against Bryce Young to maybe make him not as successful. Plus, their win was against the Saints, who just aren't a great team. -6.5 is a lot to cover, but I feel the Giants have just been shit. So they're not due, so to speak, but the market's reflecting them being ass. Falcons Saints, I think when I looked at this yesterday, it was 3 or 3.5. We're still going to back them at -4. The Saints, Olave is not going to be playing. Shahid's out for the year. Derek Carr has looked mess, so they got motherfuckers like Cedric Wilson and Taysom Hill. And I'm totally blanking on the one dude's name. It's a funny name, but they're really injury prone. Or not injury prone, but they're just really injured. Plus, Marshawn Lattimore just got traded, who's actually one of their better corners. Drake London's questionable. He's day-to-day, though. I feel he plays, even if he doesn't. Darnell Mooney's been sauce, and the Saints have been a team you can run on, so I think that helps a ton with Kirk's play action, which is when he's his best, and just obviously Bijan and Algier. So give me the Falcons -4. Bills, Colts. Colts looked like hot piss to the Vikings. Flacco, A-Rich, neither of them look great. I'm going with the Bills. Their defense has been much improved on the ground game, which is, Jonathan Taylor is one of their best players for the Colts, and their offense has been looking good the last couple of weeks. They were a little slow against Miami, but second half, Josh Allen turned up. I like this one a good bit. Give me Bills -4. Chiefs, Broncos. I feel the Chiefs are the epitome of always winning but never covering. I don't know the statistic on that. I actually probably should look, but they always just do enough, the perfect amount to win, but not cover. However, I'm going to take them here. I feel you saw DeAndre Hopkins have his coming out party with the Chiefs. I think Juju's supposed to be back. Even if not, it's they got Worthy, D-Hop, Kelsey. They have some, what's the word? Synergy with the offense, whether it's, might not be explosive. They're missing those explosive plays, but they're getting it done. And the Broncos, I feel the Chiefs defense is really good. I just don't see Bo Nix being able to put up a lot of points, so I could see the Chiefs actually covering this week. Kareem Hunt's actually been really good for the Chiefs. He's good enough to move the ball. He's just not explosive. I don't think he has a run for over 15 yards yet, and they don't use him for pass catching. So that's what they're missing without Pacheco, but he'll be back in 3-4 weeks probably, maybe 5 because he'll have to ramp up. But I think that's when you'll kind of start seeing them maybe get a bit more explosive. Minnesota Jaguars, 4.5 is a tricky number, and Jaguars are at home. I'm going to go Minnesota, though. Jaguars' pass defense is what's bad. And you get Darnold with TJ Hawkinson's back and healthy. Jordan Addison, his court date keeps getting pushed back. Justin Jefferson's been balling. and I trust Kevin O'Connell a lot more to not fuck up game management. I do think the Vikings aren't nearly. I honestly think they're a good bit worse than the Eagles. Eagles still won by 5, so I think they're a lot more game management though, where they'll be able to cover this number. They've been a little sketchy. Like last week, they didn't look great, but I think they'll get back to it. They don't have the numbers listed, as I mentioned. It's usually not until like the day of for player props, but whatever Justin Jefferson's props are, we're probably taking a look at. He actually joins one of my fantasy teams in like 7-8 hours, and getting him right before that matchup, I'm excited. So Vikings, Patriots, Bears. We're gonna go Patriots. Bears have looked bad. I honestly still think they're a lot better than people realize. Like, their defense is always good. It's just their offense and Eberflus's play calling. Like, they handed the ball off to a fucking backup offensive lineman against the Commanders. And the Patriots haven't put up 20 points yet, I don't think, or not without a defensive touchdown, something like that. But Drake May, I don't think people realize how many rushing yards Drake May gets. Like, if you have been betting Drake May's over on rushing yards, you've been a fucking wagon, as they say. Long story short, though, until they see it, plus Drake May just continuing to look good, give me them +6. Steelers, Commanders, it moved. I liked the Steelers at +3. The Steelers did acquire Mike Williams and Preston Smith from the Packers, which I think are good pickups. The Commanders, I think, are the team that got Lattimore, actually, from the Saints, which is much needed. I don't know. Honestly, I kind of like the Steelers, but at this number, it's weird. I'm going to go with Steelers, even at +2.5. I like it more at +3, but I just have more faith in their defense, and with their offense being kind of like the less good side of things. Russell Wilson's been improving the deep ball. Him and Pickens are cooking. And now, like I said, they add a good defender and a good offensive piece in Mike Williams. I don't think they'll instantly be like tearing it up, but they just solidify it. Give me the Steelers. 49ers, Buccaneers. This one's a lot, considering the Buccaneers have really, really impressed me. Like, they took the Chiefs to overtime, and this is without Chris Godwin, without Mike Evans. They're two best offensive weapons. So it's kind of crazy to see them at home be a +6 dog. Despite that, I think I gotta go 49ers. I mean, Christian McCaffrey should be back. I don't think he'll get 20 fucking touches. I think he'll get somewhere between like 8 and 12 maybe. But even that, he opens up their game plan for them. Everyone's healthy. It's just Ayuk's gone, but Jawan Jennings should be back. McCaffrey should be back to accompany Debo and Kittle. I just feel the 49ers are going to have and Jake Moody's back, which is kind of a big deal, I guess, because Anders Carlson, as a Packers fan, has scarred me. But I'm picking the 49ers, but being honest, I feel logically that the Buccaneers make a lot of sense. But I'm going to go 49ers. Titans, Chargers. We're going to go Chargers. Their defense has honestly looked really, really good the past couple of weeks. I think it helps that they played Jameis Winston, obviously. But I heard the Titans might be going back to Levis. I want to know if that's true or not, because that's a huge factor. Look at this. Look at this goober. All right, who knows? I'm going to take the Chargers, though. They've looked great. They host. They have such a good offensive line advantage in the trenches. Give me Chargers. Jets, Cardinals. We're going Jets. It's just them to win. Cardinals have looked good and been on a hot streak, but I still question like their defense mainly. Jets, their offense finally looked right last week. I mean, they put up 21. It should have been 28, but Malachi Corley fucked up. And I assume their defense will get better over time and figure it out. Where the Cardinals, and I feel it's their defense is always going to be ass. So Jets, I just think are better, a good gap on the defense, and their offense finally looks like they're putting it together. So give me the Jets. Eagles, Cowboys. We're going to go the Eagles. I know I just kind of talked about fuck Nick Sirianni, but Cowboys literally have a backup quarterback in, and they've already been asked. Like, honestly, even with Dak, I feel his numbers are like at least -3, if not -4 or -5. And Cooper Rush is fairly capable, I guess, for a backup, but it's like the only reason they had a good record when Cooper Rush played in the years past when Dak was hurt was because their defense was top of the line. Micah Parsons was playing out of his mind. Apparently Micah Parsons is supposed to be back this week, but even before he got hurt, he was playing like ass. Maybe by his standard. Maybe that's due to the injury, who knows, but backup quarterback, CeeDee Lamb's either not playing or if he does, I think he will, but if he does, it's an AC joint in the shoulder most likely, which is a little bit hard on a receiver to catch a ball over their head. He'll be fine, but just give me the Eagles. Saquon's going to run all over the Cowboys. Like, Saquon rushing props is something to look out for as well. Lions, Nico Collins is supposed to be back this week, but I don't think he's practiced actually yet, which is concerning. So I think he might. Oh. See, so not practicing Wednesday. But here, the Cron, we'll see. Regardless, even if Nico is coming back, their offensive line for the Texans is dog shit. The Lions just got, oh my God, Zadarius Smith, right? I need to double check that just because I don't want to have fucked up his name. Yeah. Okay, thank God. Which isn't like he's nothing like Aiden Hutchinson or not even on the same league, but it helps. And the Lions are putting up like 40 points a week, 30 points a week, except for when they're playing in shitty weather in Green Bay and I'm at the game. Simply put, Texans, like CJ Stroud has struggled to even throw for 200 yards in the last couple weeks. So yeah, give me the Lions. I'm pretty heavy on this one, even if Nico's back. I think Nico will fix a lot, but it's the first week back, we'll see. And then Dolphins-Rams. We're going to go to the Rams. Dolphins' offense looked good with Tua back. Achan's cooking. Tyreek Hill hasn't had like a blow-up game, but he's looked back to being good. Thing is, Rams have Cooper Kupp and Puka back. DeMarcus Robinson's looked good. Puka got suspended or booted out of last game, so this should be their first full game with everyone back looking healthy. And their defense has finally been stepping up. So, to me, getting the big three of Kyren, Puka, Cooper Kupp, and Stafford, big four, I guess, all healthy is just huge. And with the defense stepping up and them at home, give me the Rams. This is super long because of my rant, so quickly down through it. Ravens -6, Giants -6.5, Falcons -4, Bills -4, Chiefs -8, Vikings -4.5, Patriots +6, Steelers +2.5, 49ers -6, Chargers -7.5, Jets -0.5 a point, Eagles -7, Lions -3.5, Rams -1. There's not a bet that I love right now in terms of spread. But for props, definitely would look. I don't hate Jamar's, but like passing yards or whatever. I don't know, though. Without T. Higgins, they get a lot of focus on him. But I would be looking at Bijan's rushing prop, potentially Tyrone Tracy's rushing prop, just because Carolina's run defense is bad. Justin Jefferson's receiving yardage prop, and I think that's it. Oh, and then maybe Saquon's. I'll have to look at what they're at, but those are roughly what I'm going to be looking for, seeing what is good or bad, and I'll probably look. First instinct, I kind of like the Lions if I tease it down to 3. And I think that's it. Maybe the Bills, too. But that's it. Best of luck on your bets, and look at the comments for any bets I decide to make. Cheers.